Hi, my name is Jay Owen, and this is the Design Extensions Detour. Today I'm going to be showcasing the brand new iPhone X. I've had it since Friday. I got it on the first day of release. I'm one of those people that was willing to stay up till 3 in the morning. Actually, I set my alarm for 2:55 a.m. So that it would go off right when the iPhone went on sale. Went online, tried to buy it from Apple, couldn't get through to their app, switched over to Verizon, ended up buying it, and I was able to get one on day one. So I'm excited to show off the new iPhone X for you today. Talk about a few things that I really like and a few things that need some improvement. One of the things first that you'll notice when you pick up the iPhone X is that it's a little bit thicker than some of the older iPhones in the past. At least it feels like it. It's very substantial in your hand. It feels solid, really nice feel. This is actually kind of a positive for me, and the reason for that is I feel like Apple for a long time kind of had an unhealthy obsession with making phones thinner and thinner and thinner, and I think now they've kind of gotten to the point where they're going, okay, we've made them as thin as we can, now let's optimize around what's actually best for a use case scenario. So I am upgrading from an iPhone 7 Plus, just for some perspective. The cost at first gave me a little bit of alarm. I wasn't sure if I really wanted to spend the $1,000 to buy a new phone, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But one of the first things I noticed when I took it out of the box was just how premium it feels. They moved back to an all-glass back. It has an aluminum band around the edge, and the full screen is really just a gorgeous look across the phone. One of the biggest features of this phone is Face ID, and that is when I look at the phone, it immediately unlocks. I can swipe up and I'm logged in. And there were a lot of concerns, initially with the iPhone and the Face ID as to whether or not it was going to work really well. It just kind of seemed almost too good to be true. We've all used and gotten accustomed to the Touch ID with the fingerprint on the old iPhone for so long. The idea of switching to something new is, kind of questioning whether or not it's going to work. I've had it now since Friday, so I've had over the weekend kind of a longer time period, about 4 days that I've played around with the phone. And over that time period, the Face ID has not failed on me any more times than the Touch ID would have. So every now and then it won't work, but usually with a second glance, it works right away. So it's really, really exceptional when you try it. It seems like something straight out of the future. So really happy to have that feature on the phone. Matter of fact, my MacBook actually feels kind of old not having it. One of the big things that changes on this is the home button's gone. And the home button's been there from the very beginning, from the very first iPhone, so we're so used to clicking that home button at the bottom. And now what happens is you swipe up to log in. So when my phone first turns on, it looks for my face, I swipe up, and you can see Face ID worked instantaneously. It is a little bit of a change. It's a big change, actually, to not get used to hitting that home button all the time. But I'll say, it's Monday now when I'm recording this. I've had the phone since Friday, and I'm already pretty much used to it. So that's a positive for me. A couple things that are significantly different when you're using the phone. Let's say you've got an app open. Instead of double clicking it to switch apps, you actually just pick the app up and it drops into the rest of the apps that you have open. You can swipe through them. And then if you want to get rid of it, you can't flick it away anymore, because if you flick it away, it takes you back to the home screen. Instead, what you do is you actually hold down on the app, and then you have two options here. You can either press the red button or flick it away. So one of the things that's interesting about this versus the iPhone 7 Plus, which I also have here in my hand, is that the body is a little bit smaller, but the screen is about the same size. It's a little bit more narrow in the width than it is height. And one of the annoyances is that some older apps, like take for example, Google Sheets has not been updated yet. It has kind of this bezel across the bottom and top, and the screen at this point is basically the equivalent of an iPhone 7 or an iPhone 8 screen, not the Plus. And so it feels a little bit smaller when you come from using the Plus. However, most apps, take for example Apple's built-in Maps app, take full advantage of the entire screen, and especially when you're doing web browsing. If you want to scroll through various pages, it gives you a lot more room vertically to kind of do that. One of the major additions to the iPhone is it has a new processor built in. So you can't see that obviously, but it is much, much faster, even over the iPhone 7 if you have one of those now. I had a 7 Plus, and the 10 feels much faster. Apps load almost instantaneously. Even games that take longer to load typically it's almost twice as fast in some instances on the iPhone X. So that's a big bonus, because whenever we're on the go, we want to click in and out of something, having something load very quickly can be a really big help. a couple of little shortcuts that you may not be familiar with yet. In the settings, you can actually turn on a feature. Before, if you double tapped the home button, the whole screen would drop down so you could easily click the top of the screen. Well, now you can turn on a setting that allows you to swipe down from the bottom and it does the same thing. Now, one of my big annoyances with the change in OS that's required because the home button is not there anymore is that Control Center is now a swipe down from the top right corner. We notice I switched to using two hands, which I almost never do on the iPhone. And this is a feature that I used a lot because it gives you quick access to change brightness and volume and all kinds of other things. So it's a little bit tricky that they've moved that to the top right. I'm not sure if I have a good solution for it yet, and maybe it'll just take some getting used to. But the problem is I can't inherently reach that top right corner unless I use the pop down trick, and then I can flip over to it. So that's a little bit, probably my number one annoyance with the iPhone is the moving of the control panel. The problem is because they've moved the bottom of the screen as being the home button essentially for swiping up, closing apps, you really can't have the Control Center down there anymore, so that's a little bit tricky. One of the features that's also kind of a hidden gesture is you can swipe from a corner in the bottom of the app and you can switch over to other apps. So you can easily switch from one app to the next just by swiping the bottom corner, and that can be a time saver as well. So one of the big new features on the camera is the ability to do portrait photos with special lighting abilities. So I took this picture of my son the other day, and what's really neat about these filters is that they are non-destructive. So when I go to edit this photo, it allows me to change the lighting on the photo, even to something very extreme like the stage light mono. It takes a second to process, then it pulls up. These types of lighting effects would be much more difficult to pull off without some other fancy app. Apple does a really great job with that. I will say that these last two lighting effects, specifically the stage light and the stage light mono, on some pictures don't work great. But overall, this is a brand new feature. Really gives you the option to make photos stand out because lighting is a huge part of making photos look really good. One of the big features that I haven't tried yet is the wireless charging. So both the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 10 support wireless charging. You can buy a generic what's called a QI charging pad, and you just set the phone on it and the phone will charge in that place without plugging it in. Now one person actually asked me the other day how I charged in my car, not realizing that it actually still has a regular lightning port on the bottom as well. So your old charging cable from your iPhone 7 or 8 or 6 will still work fine. Just plug it right in there. Works exactly as it always has, with the benefit of if you're using one of Apple's USB-C charging cables, which is a different upgrade, it'll actually do fast charging as well, so it'll charge much more quickly. Now, let's address the last and probably the most important question for so many people, and that is it worth it? This is the most expensive phone that Apple has ever released. The cheapest model is $999, and that's a lot of money for a phone, regardless of who you are or what you use it for. For me, here's the way I rationalized it. The iPhone is really a supercomputer in your pocket. It is as fast as many entry-level laptops, and some even mid-range laptops in some areas. It has a 4K video camera in it and a telephoto lens, and has the ability to shoot portrait photos with blurred backgrounds and all kinds of cool stuff. Has a flash built in, has stereo speakers built in, has a face scanning sensor that's going to provide all kinds of capabilities in the future. It can do augmented reality, it can play music, it can connect to the internet at ultra fast speeds. The screen looks absolutely amazing. And so, is it worth it? To me, it is. On most occasions, unless I'm shooting still in a scenario like this, I would almost always just bring this phone with me for video and photo. It's that good. So, is it worth it? The answer is probably up to you and how you would use it, but for me, it definitely is. I am as impressed with the iPhone 10 as I hoped I would be, and so I give it 2 thumbs up. And definitely, if you're kind of right on that fence over whether or not you're going to get it or not, I'd encourage you to give it a go, because I think Apple has really outdone themselves, and they've proven they still have what it takes to make the very top of the line consumer electronics. I hope this has been helpful. Make sure to check out more detours each week for ideas on marketing and your business and how it can help you grow. I know for me, this device has been a huge catalyst in business, sometimes a little too much, not be able to put it down, but I hope that this video has been helpful for you today.